Okay, if you made it through that intro video about the project and the sort of data end of things, maybe you're really interested in contributing, and that would be awesome. The first thing to do is to choose a block. So on that blog post that we were showing, there's a page here, step one, to choose a block. Just click on this and find one that isn't blue. The blue ones have been spoken for. So far it's just the two that I'm doing. So choose a block, and then send me an email, and I will do the document prep. And what that means is prepping the DRG background images and the Illustrator document so that it's ready to work on. Once I've done the prep, I will post it to the GitHub page. And if you don't know how to use GitHub, don't let that stop you from contributing to the project. If you just want to download it and email it to me, that's okay. GitHub works well, but if it's not your thing, that's okay. But when I'm done processing the one for you, I'll upload it to the blocks, and you'll have your Illustrator document here, ready to work on. The other thing is there are corresponding background images that go with it, and I'm keeping those in the Dropbox folder just to keep the larger images out of the repository, just for file size issues. So download the images here, get your file from GitHub, and then you're ready to work on it. So you'll need Adobe Illustrator, Illustrator CS6 through CS 2020. Doesn't really matter, I can deal with any of those. The other thing you'll need is Map Publisher, which is this extension made by Avenza Systems that allows us to keep our spatial referencing and attribute information within the Illustrator document, so very critical for this project. It's relatively expensive. I know that some people it's probably out of reach for, or just not practical to purchase. There is a free trial, a 14-day trial. So if you wanted to time your installation with this project to try to get it done in that time, that would be great. But obviously if you had this extension, it would be easier. So let's say you have Illustrator, you have Map Publisher installed, so now you're ready to work on your document. So the document will come, and it is, you'll open it up, and it will take some time to open. But then once it's running, it runs pretty well. These are not your typical Illustrator document. They are huge. The extent of your artboard is like 225 inches by 190 inches. It basically covers the entire canvas, the maximum size allowable by Illustrator. So it's not for printing, obviously. But what you'll get is the clip block that you have chosen, and then all of the GNIS-Bézier features that are overlapping with that extent that are clipped to it. It's broken up by feature class, and then you'll have a set of 9 DRG background images. So these are the images that you'll get from Dropbox, and you'll probably have to relink them. They'll be broken links, but you'll just relink to the images. Don't embed them. Just keep them as links. And then there is a crude shaded relief at the bottom too. So this is kind of what the documents look like. If you remember, we had those slanted lines that were the features, the line features themselves. So they're the same features here, but because of Illustrator, not those, but because of Illustrator, we can turn each of those features into let's go to one that has something we can look at. A single curve with 2 nodes, and here's the feature class down here, Moose Mountains. So this feature is ready to be worked on, and you just go through the features in each of these classes, and then you look at these DRG reference documents that are below to fine-tune that feature to match the physical feature itself. So here's Moose Mountains. You can grab your nodes like so, And then if you want to, there's a custom script to kind of fix the curve that you can run, and it will just slightly modify it to even it out. And then the other thing to keep in mind is that these arrowheads represent the path direction. So you'll want the arrowhead to be on the path direction so that if you imagine the text being labeled along this line, it would be going in that direction. And then once you've done that, there's this last attribute down here called work status. And this is just a way to keep track of the ones that you've done and or if there's any issues. So there's 3 letters we can put in here. X means that it's done, it's fully contained and the feature is done. A Q if there's a question and there's just some issue that we need to look into that is unresolved. And then a E if it needs to be extended. So there are going to be cases where we have large features that don't necessarily fall in one block. So it's going to go off of an edge of one of these blocks. So what you should do is just make the feature hit the edge and then mark an E in there. And then when we put this all together, we'll have a number of these E's that we will have to reconcile. But those 3 should be relatively simple, fast to put into the attribute table. So then when you send it back, it'll be we'll know what's going on and we can merge them. So just to show you what one of these will look like after it's been worked on a little bit, I'm going to select the ranges. So here you can see I've modified all of these lines to match these physical features of these mountain ranges. And then I've updated my work status here. So they're done. They're ready to go. And just one more little thing, these background images are really stripped down. They are relatively crude. They've been stripped of all of the colors in the DRG except for blue and black, the hydro and the labels. And that's for file size issues, basically. But they're crude, but you still can read the labels to figure out the extent of these features. And then just after your block is done, you can either commit it to Git, you can send it back via email, and then I will merge it with this full USA document. So once you're done, we'll use Map Publisher to pull all of those features into this nationwide document. And then when enough of these are done, we will have this nationwide data set for all of these features that can be used and exported for different maps. And we'll be able to use the path length themselves and the number of characters, I think, to determine scales. So we won't deal with what scale these should be set to or attributed by at the block level. I think once they're all done, we'll say this feature is less than a mile long, it can be X scale, and so forth. So we'll figure out the structure of it after we've moved through it all. So that's how to edit a document. I hope you're interested in contributing, and thanks for watching.